Hi, I'm Timothy Mitchell, and I'm here in Atlanta. I'm at the Mimaki facility, and I am here to talk to Louis Jones. Louis, nice to see you, as always.
Always good to see you.
I'm here to talk to Louis about cutters. I have a general theory for a long time, which is there's two kinds of cutters. There's a good cutter, and then there's junk you buy on Amazon that makes a high-pitched noise and breaks in 6 months. Is that fair? Yeah. That you regret buying. I'm like, oh, it's a deal at $900. I'm like, yeah.
You're not wrong.
No, it's just terrible. And there's no support or anything else. So there's also now, I think, something in between, which is you want a really good cutter that's reliable and has support and effectively has Japanese engineering integrity to it and support to it and everything else you're looking for in something that you've put an investment in. Also, you're connected to your business operation, but you want it at a price and at a size that makes sense for you, because there's different interests out there. And I think what Mimaki did introducing this new cutter, which is the CGAR line, right? That's what they're called, CGR.
Yep.
And they have two sizes. They have the 54-inch here, which is your standard 54-inch workflow for print and cut, which for a ton of people is going to be widely adopted.
Yeah, any people familiar with solvent or used to working on car wrapping, really anyone in the wrap industry knows that the media that you're usually getting is around 54 inches.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the machine that you would be using, switching from a single printer over to the plotter, or if you're just cutting out decals on colored vinyl, this is what you would be using as well.
Yeah, I mean, your 54-inch cutter is your standard workflow for just about anybody out there. And this is an excellent entry-level cutter that has all of the features of Mimaki's flagship cutter, but just a slightly different weight and also a few more options, like you can take the top off and set it on a table if you wanted to.
The frame has been redesigned, so there's less movement while it's actually cutting. This machine goes very fast. We want to hit those high speeds when you're cutting on these devices. A lot of people who are using these plotters are cutting on a full roll of 54-inch media. So that's a lot of movement of a large roll of media as it's cutting. So we want to make sure as it's switching between different copies that you're still having a stable environment.
Okay. And then it looks like you've also introduced another size, which is the Hobbit cutters. And I think the Hobbits are a really underserved group in the sign and display industry. So it's nice that you made a cutter for them. I think that's very virtuous.
Yeah,
but no, it's for people who are doing crafts. They don't need a 54-inch cutter. They got little space, or this can go on a tabletop.
Yes, yes. Like you said, those legs optional. Stick this on top of a table. You can still cut in sheets. The home decor market, they're not printing on those full rolls of media, and if they are, like heat transfer vinyl, those are still very small. They don't come in thick rolls. So those small rolls and just sheets, this is perfect for that. It can still cut the same thickness of media that these machines can, that the 130 can, it's just in a smaller size.
So it has all of the attributes of the full-size 54, just in a smaller with a lower price tag.
Absolutely.
I see, looking over the list of features on the printer, you have a whole bunch of software features. Like, for example, tell me about printing out of Windows. What does that mean? Like, I don't quite understand it. Tell me how that works.
Right. So in addition to the third-party rips that we're used to, cutting with Flexi, available. Onyx, Rasterlink, our software that is available, our RIP software that is available.
So what's your RIP software, or you have your own RIP software, which is Rasterlink 7.
Yes.
What is the software that just drives the cutters? What's it
called? That is Fine Cut 9.
Okay.
We'll purchase online, one flat payment. That software, great for any design files. So you have to open that up in Illustrator or Corel Draw. Once that's opened up, it's easy to send files straight to the cutter using Fine Cut 9. But if you don't have access to that, if you don't have design software, or if you don't have Flexi Design, you can also send jobs to these machines using Word or Excel.
Really?
If you have clip art in those, if you're used to cutting out clip art, if you're not used to some fancier design software, we still want you to be able to use these machines. So now it's Windows compatible. If you have clip art in Word, you can still send those cuts.
Okay. It also looks like, looking at any of these, you have a multiple array of tools. I mean, you don't just have a knife tool. It looks like you have a pen tool, a crease tool. What are some of the other tools?
So the in addition to the cutter, we do have multiple cut blades for different types of media. So cutting through thicker, like reflective sheets, cutting through magnet material. Those you'd be switching out the blades. We have those blades available. But the pen tool, like you said, designing, if you had architecture schematics or any kind of technical drawings that need to be made, you can plot those out with the pen and have it drawn on sheets very accurately. Creasing tool, those are made to pierce with tiny cuts on thicker media like boards. That's great for making your own packaging. You can make boxes with that. Once those creases are made, easily foldable, put together boxes of any kind of specialty boards, Anita papers, any boards like that. So that's a really cool application that you can use. The sheet table. Same with packaging, just on flatter sheets. If you put a thicker board through a rolled plotter like this, it would kind of bend, move toward the side. It's harder to get more detailed cutting on those that you would a normal roll media. But with the sheet table, 2 bars are set up on the outside of this machine that makes it sort of a flatbed, that makes it makes any media that you put in feed in flat. There's a table that's put on top of that.
So it's an accessory table that allows you to cut flat sheets.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, for example, what about like DTF film or something like that?
Yes, it does.
That's pretty cool.
And it's not moving, it's easier to cut, and it's more accurate. And you can, of course, like I said before, it helps making those packages, like we said. Those creasings that you're doing, that's more accurate and less movement when you're using a sheet table option. So there's a lot of different things that you can use with the AR series.
Okay, so we understand that the 2 cutters are identical, or they're just size differences and price differences, and whether you need certain things like the table or the legs or whatever accessories, but it has the full options available depending on what you want to do.
Yes,
and they could be bought later. Like you could start with this as a tabletop and later say, hey, I want to put some legs on it, and you can get some legs.
Well, it does come with the legs. You just don't need to use them. You can take it off and put it on a table whenever you want. The basket that it comes in is optional. This is just catching the media as it's coming out, so that's
what's the ground.
Yeah,
sure. I think kind of a workflow I'm looking for, and one of the things I particularly like this 54-inch cutter too, is I'm looking for a workflow for a customer that's new to my sign and display industry, where I can pair a printer, software, and a cutter in what effectively is a standalone print and cut workflow. I tend to like, and this is a preference, some people like to have print and cuts that are all in one. You know, and Mimaki has an all-in-one option for solvent printers as well as UV printers, no question. My preference is I like them separate, because I want my printer to be printing and I want my cutter to be cutting. And I've always believed that it's just sort of a thing that I think is a smarter, more productive workflow. If I were to put a bundle together, I would look at, say, a Mimaki JV100 with an 8-color configuration is my preference, and then connect it to this 54-inch cutter and probably run the whole thing in Flexi, but I could also go with Rasterlink either way. It just depends on preferences. I think that would be a good pairing and also offer me a very good price. You know, I'd be getting pretty much all the things I need in my workflow.
That would be a perfect pairing for anyone getting into decals, getting into car wrapping, getting into labels or stickers, printing on a solvent printer, and then transferring it over to the CGAR. Perfect workflow. You've seen it in a lot of shops. Just because we have the option of having an all-in-one print and cut model doesn't mean that's always the fastest workflow for you. I'll tell you right now, the CGAR, the cutter on this is always faster than our print and cut machines. So if you're looking for more speed, having a full roll cut on this machine while your printer is running, sometimes that could be faster. It's all about what you need.
I think the same case could be made for the introductory UV. You know, the introductory UV can give me a UV printer with all that goes with it and decide, do I want just CMYK or do I want white or what configuration, but I'm getting that at a very good value point. And then I can pair that with a high value cutter, and that cutter still maintains all the high performance I'm looking for: accuracy, reliability, multiple pinch rollers. You know, it has all the things you get in what I traditionally call a quality cutter.
Absolutely.
And it has Mimaki's legendary engineering and Mimaki's support in this case.
Yes, all updated drivers in the future, any firmware changes, all of those available to you when you get these machines. And of course, all of our core technologies that make it easier to cut machines, like intermediate crop marks, ID cut, make it easier for transfer from one machine to another, and making it easier to read a full roll of media. All of that is available to you at all times.
Fantastic. Louis, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for inviting me to your facility.
Always good talking to you.
Folks, if you're interested in these cutters, and you should be, I think they're excellent cutters. They come in at a perfect price point. They're very, very effective. They're high quality. You're not sacrificing anything on the quality on the cutter. Everybody needs a cutter at some point. It just becomes part of your necessary workflow. What you have to figure out is, what can you afford? What makes sense for you? How often do you run it? What kind of volume? And then what size do you need? And all of those things I think can be addressed with this new CG AR cutter by Mimaki. Want to hear more? Please reach out to the LexJet sales staff, and that is 1-800-4-LexJet, or just go to lexjet.com. That's what I always do.